Good evening. Welcome to the Wednesday, November 14th, 2018 meeting of the Long Meadow School Committee. I now call the meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded and aired live by LCTV, as well as being live streamed on longmeadow.org. It is a legal requirement for anyone else to disclose if they are recording the meeting. We have a large crowd tonight, so no. Okay. I do need to let everyone know that the overflow room is available. You can see and hear in that room. We will not have any more people enter this room at this point. I believe we are at capacity.
Can you tell me where the overflow room is?
Yeah. The overflow room is the BTC for anyone joining, and then if that fills, we do have the back gym open as well. There is signage in the hallway, and you can certainly have the officer direct you to that location. Please join us now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, the clerk will acknowledge our correspondence for the meeting.
The following correspondence will be recorded. An emailed letter dated November 7th, 2018 from Mr. Donald Jarvis of Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative regarding the Student of the Month for October 2018. Longmeadow students honored are Joseph Klazek, Integrated Occupational Prep, and Joseph McDonald, Building Property Maintenance. An emailed letter from Andrew Burke, PhD, regarding the proposed construction of a natural gas metering station at 400 Shaker Road.
Thank you, Stephanie. We don't have any minutes to approve at this meeting. We will move into visitors' comments, but before we do, I do have a couple of announcements. We normally do not have this many people at a meeting, so there are a large number of members of the public present tonight. The committee has set aside time for visitors' comments on our agenda. Generally, when we have a meeting, that time does not exceed 5 to 10 minutes. But seeing that there are so many of you here, and I do have a list going for comments, I will allocate 30 minutes tonight for visitors' comments. There was a sign-up sheet at the entrance to the room for members of the public who wish to speak. If you've not signed the sheet but wish to speak, please do so now. I do believe there's still a sheet out there. I will recognize each member of the public who signed up to speak in the order which I received it until we've reached the 30 minutes. Then we do need to move on to the business on our agenda. In accordance with School Committee Policy BEDH, each person recognized shall have up to 3 minutes to speak, and our secretary will inform the speaker when the speaker has reached the 2-minute and 30-second mark. Is that fair enough, Diane? Do you want to time? I think it gives people a good indication of how much time they have left. And then you'll know that... I'm sorry, did somebody...
Point of order, please. Considering that there's clearly over 100 people in this crowd, I don't feel that 30 minutes is appropriate for public comment.
I only have barely half of a sign-up sheet, and it is the decision of the chair, though, to designate visitor comment time, so 30 minutes will be enough. And I would ask that we not have any disruptions to the meeting. I don't mean you, AJ. I'm just... So again, in accordance with School Committee Policy BEDH, each person recognized will have the 3 minutes to speak. That speaker has 30 seconds remaining once Diane lets us know that they're at the 2-minute, 30-second mark. No person may speak until recognized by the chair, and each speaker must stop at or before the 3 minutes. If the speaker does not end before 3 minutes, we will let you know when you've reached the 3 minutes. I did feel it was important to lay out some of the housekeeping rules because we normally don't have this many people speaking. I do want to make it known that in our policy, if there are people who want to speak that want to, we do have a policy process where a group of citizens appearing to express favor or opposition to a particular agenda item, you can designate one member of your group to come as a spokesperson to be heard on the topic. Other members of the group may be heard if they feel they can just contribute additional information to the topic. So I do want to let you know that that is a possibility. That being said, I'm going to start with my list. And I will recognize Donna Hutton, principal of Center School, to come to the microphone to speak and just identify yourself.
Good evening. I'm Donna Hutton, principal of Center School. Choosing to speak this evening is not a stance against the school committee or any member of the school committee. Please know that I view us as a team with common goals. It's important for me to emphasize to you that coming forward does not preclude a desire to work collaboratively with you. Superintendent O'Shea's handling of an email he received from a school committee member is one of 2 issues discussed at a recent evaluation subcommittee meeting. The topic of the school committee member's email was the Peace Builders program at Center School, thus my involvement. I want to share my perspective on how the process of handling the email unfolded. I was hoping to share my perspective with members of the school committee off camera, but Beth Barron informed me that the 3 committee members I requested a meeting with could not meet with me without violating open meeting laws. I will reiterate as much as possible that at no time did I feel, or did Marty feel, nor was it discussed between us that a response to the email was not aligned to the goal of the administration and the school committee working together. To the contrary, we considered a response to be appropriate and felt it would be welcomed. What is silent in the draft of meeting notes is my point of view. I ask you to kindly focus on the context of the situation at the time to help understand the handling of the email, of which I played a part. The elementary principals were scheduled to present our social emotional learning programs to the school committee on Tuesday, October 9th. On Friday, October 5th, Marty contacted me to discuss an email he had received. He told me that the school committee person conveyed that she had reviewed the packet and felt that the Peace Builders program at Center did not hit any of the Castle 5 core competencies. Marty and I discussed the packet the principals had prepared. Marty wondered if I should add additional information to provide a fuller picture of the program. Marty told me he was appreciative that he received the email message before the meeting so we could consider ways to address the concerns and to be more fully prepared. I had teachers presenting with me, and the goal of the presentation was to celebrate and to help you, our school committee, understand what's happening in our schools. Marty and I processed for a considerable time, and I can tell you we wanted to be responsive to the message as well as ensure we considered all the layers of the situation. I think it's important to note that the email in question did not pose specific questions that could be answered directly or folded into my presentation. The email asserted the opinion of the school committee member that the Peace Builders program was not addressing the CASEL social emotional competencies in any manner. Because of the content of the message, I wanted to offer a thoughtful response before the meeting. I suggested to Marty that I put together a packet to enhance what we had already sent to school committee. A packet that would provide a fuller picture of the curriculum and how it aligns to each competency. I alone bear the burden and the responsibility for the additional information that was sent. From my perspective, the response to the email was considered with the very, very best of intentions on my part and on Marty's part. Marty's decision to share the email with me is a demonstration of his transparency with our team, courageous transparency. I would expect nothing less of Marty and would have been surprised and disappointed if he chose not to share it with me, especially if he chose not to share information because he perceived it would be difficult for me to hear. But I've learned that's not how Marty rolls, and that's not how we operate as a team. Marty does not hesitate to challenge us to reflect and improve our leadership practices. He holds many difficult conversations with us about complex matters, and we build solutions together. So I worked on the packet over the weekend and completed it on Columbus Day. I sent it to Marty on the 8th, and he sent it to the committee as an additional document. I put the packet together with a crosswalk between the Peace Builders and the social competencies. I included a sample section from the Peace Pack. It was a lengthy document, but a large component of it was samples from the program. The important part was the first few pages. My packet was a sincere effort to be proactive and enhance the information about a program that has come to characterize our school community. Looking back, I remember I was content and very proud with the result. Marty and I felt good about the additional information, and I hoped it would address the school committee members' concern. The overall process prompted me, with Marty's guidance, to reflect on our program and work to ensure we continue to address the competencies, all good things from my perspective. On a day-to-day basis, principals can process situations like this countless number of times. We welcome open discussion, different points of view, and respect the insights of others, even if sometimes do not agree. Marty leads us by modeling these expectations, and he expects nothing less of us. That's not to say that the human side doesn't kick in. We get discouraged, we get exasperated, and any number of emotions you can think of, but we move forward with professionalism and certainly with our emotions in check, and remember our goal is to serve our students and to serve them well. We strive to believe the best of everybody and to work with all our stakeholders, including each and every one of you. Feedback we may not like or may not understand will never negate our willingness to work with stakeholders. We would not last a day in a leadership position in this town if this were true. The email sharing and the response is no exception. Our work is the work of fostering relationships. We will not always agree with one another. That would not be a realistic expectation in any professional relationship, but we fully commit to working with you. Marty discusses openly and honestly ways to navigate our partnership with the school committee, honoring your role and our responsibilities to the Longmeadow community. We will always find ways to improve as we build our team, and because Marty was so hopeful and positive of our potential for success, we have been hopeful and positive. I'm devastated that my actions
Donna,
are...
I think that's, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
But if they're going together, don't they get 6?
Oh, I thought Neil was the next,
They're together.
you're the next on the,
We're together.
oh, okay, then 6 minutes, sorry. I thought he was the next name on the list, so I thought he was just waiting in the wings.
I'm devastated
Sorry.
that my actions or any of Marty's actions were misconstrued. I extend my apologies for any part of this process that was perceived by any member of the school committee as anything but the best intentions on our part. I ease the tremendous burden I feel about this situation by reminding myself that we meant no harm. And to me, what was inside our hearts and minds is what will truly matter in the end. Moving forward, I hope we can practice kind candor and agree that we will be okay with it. I can be discouraged or have wonderings about your insights, and it doesn't mean I can't work with you or that I don't respect you or that the admin team or me do not feel a connection with you. We are strong, resilient, and purposeful leaders under Marty's charge. We take the insights of others, reflect on them, and use them to improve our practice. We adapt where we can and confront when we have to, and know that discussions and reflections make us stronger when we have our eyes on the same goal. I hope my perspective about this process is helpful to you. I'm going to be here for the entire meeting, and if you hold a discussion about this issue, I welcome any questions that you might have for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Is there time?
It's about a minute 40.
Minute 40 left.
No, Cory.
Go ahead, Neil.
My name is Neil Guile. I'm the principal of Williams Middle School. On behalf of the admin team, we are officially resubmitting the statement that was shared during the February 14th, 2018 school committee meeting. In brief, Principal Hutton read a statement that spoke to how much the admin team appreciated and respected Superintendent O'Shea's leadership style and ability to foster a collegial work environment in a manner that challenges us both professionally and personally. In addition, we wanted to revisit the admin team's sentiments shared with the school committee on September 24th during the team building session. It was at this time that each one of us shared our commitment and optimism to working as a collective whole. The committee must know that each member of the admin team can confirm Superintendent O'Shea's commitment to this notion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil. Just gonna In order to keep moving this along, I have Kathy Rosato next.
Good evening. I'm Kathleen Rosato, President of the Long Meadow Education Association. Earlier today, the Long Meadow Education Association took a vote of no confidence in the school committee. We were moved to do this action out of the concern for our students' learning and their environment. Let me start by reiterating the association's support for Superintendent Marty O'Shea. Last night, more than 100 educators, parents, and students demonstrated their support for Dr. O'Shea. We stood outside in the cold to let the public know we believe our school district is heading in the right direction under Dr. O'Shea's leadership. The sometimes contentious relationship between a majority of the school committee and the superintendent threatens the success that our students are experiencing and directly affects our work environment. We understand that Dr. O'Shea was not the first choice of every school committee member when he was hired in 2016. However, since taking stewardship of our schools, Dr. O'Shea has proven himself to be an excellent leader who can manage the day-to-day issues that arise, as well as map out a strategic plan for our schools and, most importantly, our students. The LEA urges the school committee to renew Dr. O'Shea's contract this evening and allow him to continue to work here. The superintendent, the members of this committee, the parents and guardians of whose children attend the Long Meadow Public Schools, and the educators all play a different role in the district. But we all share a common goal: to provide the best opportunities for our students and the support they need to succeed. Removing Dr. O'Shea now would not only deprive our district of a great leader, but send a message that Long Meadow is a difficult place to work. Please do not do that to our students. Dr. O'Shea has shown that he can collaborate and work with many of the various stakeholders committed to the success of Long Meadow Public Schools. The LEA remains hopeful that this committee and Dr. O'Shea can likewise work together and provide the stable leadership necessary for our students' continued success. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. I have Chief Stankiewicz and Chief Dearborn next. I don't know who would like to go first.
Good evening. I am John Dearborn, your Fire Chief, Emergency Medical Services Director, and your Emergency Management Director. I've worked for the town for 25 years. A few years ago, within a few days of Marty taking over as superintendent, he scheduled a meeting with me to reintroduce himself. I had worked with Marty during his previous tenure with the town and was excited to have him return in the capacity of superintendent. During this meeting, I expressed my frustration that I believe all aspects of public safety were not as engaged in school safety as would be my expectation. What was supposed to be a 15-minute meeting turned into an hour-long conversation on how we could improve. This conversation continues today, and we continue to improve. Under Marty's leadership and partnership, the staff and administration from police, fire, and the schools regularly engage in many initiatives to improve school safety. It is common to see a fire officer, a police officer, and a school staff member sitting at the same table at a regional school safety training. We meet regularly to discuss school safety. We have engaged in many projects to include team training, reunification, tabletop exercises, facility drills, AEDs, all while discussing the next steps to improve. Under his leadership, we have established a foundation for preparedness. The leadership and staff are all engaged and moving forward. Preparedness is not a static function. The world we live in is always changing, and with that, so do the threats we face. While we move through the continued function of being prepared, we look and meet these new changes and adapt our preparedness. Long Meadow is viewed by our peers as being well prepared, and we are often asked to share our initiatives. This could not be possible without strong relationships and partnerships. As the emergency manager, I communicate with Marty on a regular basis. Emergencies that impact our community impact our schools. The school district is not an island. As recently as this morning, I was communicating with Marty regarding a gas leak near a school. The leak did not impact the school, but was close enough where we needed to communicate with the district and the school to ensure everyone had a clear understanding. Marty is part of the town's emergency management team and is often engaged when we prepare for events or mitigation process. We work as a team to accomplish larger objectives. I have another role as Vice Chairman of the Western Region Homeland Security Advisory Council. This council is tasked with allocating the share of Homeland Security funding to the 4 western counties. The council is made up of representatives from public safety and public sector disciplines. The council has many safety and security initiatives and spends close to $1 million a year on regional preparedness. Several initiatives include school safety initiatives and training. Over the past 6 months, the council has discussed including both higher education and K-12 education as full council members. As we engage in these discussions, I kept thinking of Marty as the perfect fit for the council. Marty's honesty in regards to these challenges and his commitment to safety has made him a strong partner, and I believe he could have a regional impact. At the October council meeting, what was supposed to be just an introduction to Marty turned into Marty being nominated for council membership. I'm truly looking forward to working with Marty in this new capacity and to continue our very important work in the town of Long Meadow to keep this town and its schools safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Dearborn?
Good evening, thank you. My name is John Stankiewicz. I'm the Chief of Police here in the town of
Oh, I'm
Long
sorry.
Meadow. I've been an officer for, excuse me?
No, I'm sorry. I got the names backwards. I know that you're Chief Stankiewicz, and I called you Chief Dearborn accidentally, and I apologize.
That's fine.
Continue, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm a little taller than you.
I've met you before,
And
so
he's
I
got
do
red hair.
apologize for that.
And I'm more handsome. I've been a police officer for 35 years. I'm a father of 2 children, and that went through this Long Meadow school system as well. For 10 years, beginning in the 1990s, I was assigned to the schools, the first air officer in the town of Long Meadow. I was assigned there to build bridges with students, parents, staff, and the police. Post-Columbine, I worked with the administrators to improve school safety and police response to hostile events. I've worked with 4 superintendents, and I'm acutely aware that we, meaning the schools, police, fire, DPW, and other town departments, by working collaboratively, have accomplished more to improve school safety in the last 2.5 years than in the last 10 years. Under Superintendent O'Shea's administration, the police department has participated in the following with the school department to enhance the safety of all students and staff. Although Marty was not integral in all the inception of all things that we've done here, his fingerprint is on a lot of these. We introduced a walking school bus. Last year, all 3 elementary schools received the Safe Roads to School Gold Award. We initiated Halloween safety this year. Adopted a safer traffic pattern at LHS, Blueberry, and Wolf Swamp School. Co-sponsored bike rodeos. Installed solar speed signs at both Blueberry and Williams Middle School. Reinstituted school safety meetings, meeting 6 to 8 times annually. In attendance are school administrators, representatives from the LFD, PD, DPW, IT department. We brainstorm and address safety issues throughout the district. We adopted reunification protocols, improved the physical security of all school district buildings, annually train all personnel in the most current critical response tactics to ever-increasing volatile and emerging threats. Worked with the Close Coalition, organized to promote a substance-free Long Meadow. We collaboratively initiated, coordinate, and sustained prevention, intervention efforts that reduce and address substance use that impact substance use disorders with the town of Long Meadow students. We presented screenagers, growing up in a digital age, that showed more than 350 students and parents attended. We participated in presentations with Shelley Warren, the district substance abuse response coordinator, on topics including narcotics, opioids, vaping, and the dangers of marijuana and alcohol use. The PD activated an anonymous tip line with the encouragement of the superintendent. The LPD is coordinated with IT and the school department are in the process of developing a comprehensive multi-year plan to purchase servers and surveillance cameras to be installed in all schools, town buildings, and designated intersections. LPD participated in a mock motor vehicle crash in front of the high school sponsored by the DA's office. The Long Meadow School Department sponsored a Preventing Child Sexual Abuse presentation at LHS, along with the DA's office as well. The police and fire department developed a bomb response protocol. We tabletop those with administrators and all school staff. Full-time SRO was assigned to the LHS, and we're planning on instituting a part-time position in the near future. The police department is now connected directly to each school through CopSync software for immediately contact with us in the event of a crisis. Tomorrow, the district representatives of police dispatchers will be trained with a new program on early warning systems to assist students that are in crisis.
Chief, I just have to let you know that the time is exceeded. I don't know if you have a wrap-up, or I don't know how long the...
Well, the most important part is...
Okay, if you want to go to the...
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just have some
Thank you.
speakers
There are
waiting.
times when the police are called upon to conduct criminal investigations that involve students. During those investigations, it is important that we share confidential information with the superintendent so that he can devise a response to protect students and staff while being transparent with parents. This has to be done while not jeopardizing the investigation. Honestly, he has to walk a tightrope, and I respect him for doing that. To my knowledge, and throughout all the investigation we conferred on, Marty has never once violated my trust, inappropriately shared confidential information. I understand how difficult this can be for him, and we have quite a few back and forths over the years, and quite a few discussions about these. I haven't always agreed with them, but we always come to consensus and work through it. I've learned to trust his judgment as well. In my experience, Marty is respectful, honest, he drips integrity, is a leader, commands respect, is tenacious, passionate, hardworking, team player, humble, and in my opinion, when he makes decisions, he has the best interests of the students, staff, and community in mind. In this extensive list of accomplishments we have achieved in only 2.5 years, I can only imagine what we can do if he was to stay for the foreseeable future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chief. Tori Allett, I apologize. It's not very clear on the Tori from the Wellness Committee, I will say.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tori Allett. I work at Blueberry Hill School as a PE teacher. We are here in regards to one of two issues brought up in Marty's evaluation. We are writing this letter to provide clarification and another perspective regarding the Wellness Committee meeting that took place on October 26, 2018. As members of the Wellness Committee who were present at the meeting, we feel as though the events that took place have been grossly misconstrued and do not accurately reflect the very brief interaction that took place. The Wellness Committee regularly meets to discuss non-academic indicators of success and what students need in order to be successful. It is a wonderful, positive committee that deeply cares about the students' social and emotional health. The committee has been meeting for over a year and has reviewed literature regarding student stress and anxiety. In this particular meeting, we spent time reviewing the results of a youth risk behavior survey that was done in the middle and high school. A brief discussion regarding the results of the study brought up the topic of the PACER test at the elementary level. At that point, members of the school committee asked for some clarification regarding the PACER test. After some clarification from the PE teachers, a member of the school committee continued to ask for further information about the purpose of the PACER and its implementation in different elementary schools. After numerous attempts by other members of the wellness team to explain what the data was used for, the questioning continued. Based on the tone of the questioning from one particular school committee member, it felt as though we were not being heard. The conversation was taking a turn in a direction that was not productive or relevant. At this point, one member of the Wellness Committee stated, "This is not what we are here for," in an attempt to diffuse any further escalation and questioning and to steer the conversation back to the purpose of the meeting. Although the statement may have been interpreted by the school committee member as rude, it was a response that resulted from the frustration that others felt with the continued questioning, as this meeting was a wellness committee meeting and not a meeting to discuss the use of the PACER test. The purpose of this letter is not to undermine the feelings of any school committee members, but to communicate what transpired from the perspective of others who were in attendance. Respectfully, Autumn Rodriguez, Tracy O'Gara, Tori Allett, Danielle Moore, Jara Malikin, Philippa Siegel, Aaron Capitasto, and Peter Bradshaw. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy Davis. I have Randy Davis next on the list.
Thank you. Randy Davis, parent of a couple of kids who've gone here. I know that the school system here in Longmeadow is a point of pride for everyone. It's one of the reasons people move out here. It's one of the reasons why when we moved out to Western Mass, we chose Longmeadow. So I think everyone here has the same intent and good intent, and it's all how do we move forward and how do we do the best thing. I'm here to actually stand up and speak for the school committee and simply to say that these are people that we as parents elect. These are people who have volunteer positions. They get no payment. They're really just trying to do their best. They see things more than us as parents see. And so I'm just simply here to say that I think that we owe these guys. I hear a lot of anger and a lot of concerns and frustration for the school committee, and I think we owe them a debt for the time that they spend. So I would just like to put a vote for the school committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. I have Amy Davis next.
Hi, Amy Davis, parent. Randy gave me his time. No, just kidding. I'm here because the most important role I have is as a mother. And it's been nice to hear the police chief and fire chief explain about the safety in Longmeadow and how safe the schools have been. And I have another accountability that I call, and that's healthy. But to me, healthy is more than what I put in my kids' mouth, what I feed them. It's body, mind, and spirit. And I'm here standing in front of you, speaking on behalf, and once again, perhaps for my son Oliver, who stood up last year, in front of all of you and your grandparents and parents, perhaps, and spoke about his experience and his observations here at Longmeadow. And we asked Oliver to come back in the summer and read his speech again because it was difficult to hear. And then Randy and I both said a few words. The most important thing, and the reason why I'm here tonight, is because I believe, and I hear it daily, that the environment in Longmeadow, specifically Longmeadow High School, isn't healthy. I'm glad to hear it's safe. I don't feel like it's safe, that it's a safe environment. In fact, my sadness is what I hear from in the grocery store, on the sidelines of a game, is about how stressed out everyone's kids are. And what's been clear to me since we've moved here 3 years ago is that the longest lines are at a tutor's office or at a psychologist's office here in Longmeadow. And that makes me so sad. I've seen it being a healthy education, well-being, joy in learning. I've seen it done differently. And I've seen it in a school system that's a 10 with great school ratings. And it makes me sad that we all want to rest on the laurels here of how fabulous Longmeadow is. And it's fabulous in so many regards. I'm so appalled at how, is the word vilified? I don't know if that's the right word. But how negative everyone is towards these people that we elected, towards their children, that there's an outcry at How dare they? And yet we voted for you. I did my homework in voting for you all. I don't understand this animosity between all these levels who are supposed to work together. It's a poor example for our kids. It's a poor example for other communities to look down and look at Long Meadow as either a great place to work or not a great place to work. I want it to be a great place to live, to go to school, to raise my kids. And at this point, I now have my daughter Louisa at Pope Francis Preparatory School because I believe body, mind, spirit, that's where she's going to succeed. So, like Randy, I just want us all to work together and to look at the school committee as a valuable resource and experts in all of our family's well-being. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. I do want to go ahead, and I do have some people still on the list. We are going to move the meeting along since we're at the 35-minute mark. I do want people to know that you're more than willing to still submit comments to the school committee at any time if you had something prepared tonight and you simply want to submit it.
I move to appeal from the decision of the chair to allow 30 minutes.
Second.
We'll call for a vote. Do you have a motion?
I just appealed that. I would just like to extend it to at least the people that are on
Okay.
the list.
So all those who are in favor of extending the visitors' comments past the 30-minute mark, well, just a vote of the school committee, though. I'm sorry? No, we'll do a raise of hands. All those in favor of extending? Okay. I will call Cecilia and Gianna.
Are we doing opposed?
Ellen.
Abstaining?
Oh my God, I'm like ready to just keep going with the visitors'
I know,
comments.
I just wanna get it right.
Any
Sorry.
opposed? Any opposed to doing the visitors' comments? Any abstentions? One opposition? Opposition? So 3 oppositions. Okay, thank you, Diane. That's okay. Cecilia, do you want to go separately or? Okay.
Good evening. I'm Cecilia Allentuck, and I go to Williams Middle School, and I'm in 7th grade. I love school because I get to see my friends every day in class, and I learn a lot of things, like what the major religions of the world are, how to correctly format a letter, and what the forms of say are. These are all just minor examples of the things I learn while in class. There is so much information that I have from going to school, and all of that information is crucial to my future. I also enjoy my non-academic classes. In art, I have gotten to make a clay dwelling. In gym, I'm learning how to play volleyball. In computers, I learn how to code, and in health class, I have found out about the respiration system. But the school also offers me extracurricular activities that I enjoy. The days I have my after-school programs are the days I always look forward to most. I love acting, so I take part in the drama club. And on Wednesdays, I have student council and newspaper club. But there are so many more clubs to take part in. School for me isn't just about sitting in a stuffy classroom getting a lecture. In school, I learn not only with notes, but with other fun ways. In many classes, I get to review lessons by playing Kahoot or Quizlet Live, or I can make my own Quizlet to study from. We also learn new things by using our creative skills to create models and do projects. All these ways, we learn so many important things while actually having fun. That way I don't have to think, I have to go to school and take notes on blah, blah, blah. Instead, I can jump out of bed thinking, yay, today we are making a model of a cell. School to some people may mean learning around the clock. However, at school I can participate in field day, one of the best days of the year. On field day, if you don't have spirit, you are the odd one out. Throughout the day, kids are all signing each other's shirts, and overall it's an amazing day. But another exciting day is the day the variety show is performed. All the students gather excited into the auditorium to see their fellow classmates sing, rap, dance, and act. And on the other side of the spectrum, the acts of the variety show are nervously waiting for their time in the spotlight. All year they prepare for the event and always do amazing in the show. There are so many more events that happen throughout the school year that are also so much fun. But of course, my enjoyment of school is not the purpose of this letter. The purpose of this letter is that Superintendent O'Shea should be renewed as Superintendent of Longmeadow. First, all of the reasons I love school would most definitely not be possible if he was not our superintendent. He's one of the main reasons I have amazing teachers, a wonderful school, terrific educational programs, and an all-around magnificent school system. Not only does our superintendent do his job very well, but he is also a very friendly person. I've seen him at many events regarding the town and the schools, and he is always in support of every student, teacher, and school activity. Superintendent O'Shea is a great person that genuinely cares about the school system and the students succeeding. And I know many other people, see no reason for Mr. O'Shea to stop being our superintendent. The town's public school system is doing very well, and the test scores of our town are sky high. Marty O'Shea is not a bad person, and the schools are doing exceptional. So really, is there any reason he can't stay? The answer to that question would be, without a doubt, no. Thank you for your time, and I hope you take my words into a good
Gianna Allentuck. Yep.
I can promise you she wrote that on her own on her day off. I was at work, so I just want to say thank you for the courage to do that, Cecilia. My name is Gianna Allentuck, and I'm a parent of Cecilia and also of Santino Allentuck, who's a sophomore here at Longmeadow High School. And I am a volunteer coach in the town of Longmeadow and an educator in the Springfield Public School System, a leading educator, and I've been involved with turnaround and redesign. So I appreciate you allowing me the time to speak here today. My husband, Lee, also is an active volunteer in the Longmeadow school system, and he unfortunately, he's in California, but he also wanted to be here today, and both of us wanted to express our appreciation for the school committee. We know I volunteer in my own world, so we do know how hard it is to volunteer your time, be away from your families, and have to deal with situations like this. So thank you for that. We do appreciate that. Cecilia, when she spoke, she represents, for me anyway, I know I'm biased, everything that is awesome and improving about Longmeadow Public Schools. And my hope, and I know I sent a longer letter to the school committee today, my hope for you is that you'll understand everything that is awesome about Longmeadow Public Schools and everything that is improving is in large part because of Dr. O'Shea, but also because of you. You've had to celebrate at graduations, you've had to approve policies, you've had to create plans and create objectives. And so I'm just respectfully asking that you continue on the path of improvement that you all have helped create and allow him to continue as our superintendent. And with that, and my other hope for you and for our town is that I would offer my support in any way to, I'm just sad that I wasn't involved sooner in this process, because I think that engaging people like me, I would offer my time and assistance in supporting the healing of the school committee and the superintendent and the town of Longmeadow. So again, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your service. And go Longmeadow.
Thank you, Gianna. I have Carl Jasmine on the list. Oh, okay. Doug Cummings? Somebody signed you up.
Good evening. My name is Douglas Cummings. I have been a resident of Longmeadow for 19 years and a teacher in the Hampden-Wilbraham Regional School District for 25. For many of those years, I had the pleasure of working under Dr. O'Shea. I found him to be a knowledgeable, thoughtful, ethical, and diligent leader. I had mixed emotions when I learned that Dr. O'Shea was leaving Hampden-Wilbraham to become superintendent in Longmeadow. Though I would miss his professionalism in Wilbraham, I was thrilled that he was bringing his expertise and commitment to education to the school system that my two daughters were attending. I am appreciative of all of the good work that Dr. O'Shea has done in Longmeadow, and I strongly urge you to renew his contract.
Thank you. Julia Cummings? Oh, I'm sorry. Julia, yeah, sorry.
Hello, my name is Julia Cummings, and I'm a junior at Longmeadow High School. I'd like to start off by saying that one of the many things that I admire about Superintendent O'Shea is that he makes himself available to the students. Just this morning, I saw him at an assembly at the high school during which Senator Eric Lesser told us that government works from the bottom up, not the top down. When Dr. O'Shea engages with the students as he did this morning, he better understands the desires of the bottom of the educational hierarchy, the students, and is therefore more effective in bringing about change at the top. Senator Lesser also imparted to us the importance of engaging in government at the local level. So here I am doing my part to effect change in my school district. As a proud student of Longmeadow High School, I find Dr. O'Shea to be an excellent superintendent, and I urge you to renew his contract. It is unreasonable to expect anyone to find the perfect superintendent right off the bat. No matter who is appointed to the position, someone will always find a problem with them. We cannot please everyone. Dr. O'Shea has done an admirable job thus far, and I believe that it would be far easier to work out any disagreements with him rather than start from scratch with a new superintendent. This isn't even accounting for the difficulty of finding and hiring a new superintendent. I personally could not hope for a better person than Dr. O'Shea to oversee our district, and I hope that the school committee can learn to see his many assets in the same way that I and so many people clearly do.
Thank you. Liz Bone? Liz?
Bone, parents. I wanted to say that I was at that wellness committee, and I've been on the wellness committee since the inception about 2 years ago, along with a number of well-educated and passionate staff. We met on October 26th, and our topic was risk behavior data related to stress and anxiety. This was the first time a school committee member was present that I can remember. We discussed stress and how all the students are different. Some students put the stress on themselves, some have stress put on by peers, and some have stress from their parents. The PE teachers mentioned as an example the fitnessgram, which entails the mile and the pacer. And a long time ago, the presidential fitness test was a high score oriented, but now they use the fitnessgram, a non-competitive health-related assessment to support the whole child. After some discussion, the school committee member, Ms. Jasmine, mentioned her degrees in schooling and then suggested that the PE get rid of the fitnessgram. A PE teacher described the PE department's evolution with fitness testing to provide the clarity of its usefulness and continue into the committee's purpose that day. Others at the wellness meeting, including myself, spoke to say that it's a major assessment for the PE teachers and it's helpful to them as educators. We also gave personal statements to attest to the stress on our own children and how not all children feel stressed. Ms. Jasmine left at that point without saying anything. My point of telling you about the wellness meeting is that at the Superintendent Evaluation Subcommittee meeting on November 6th, Ms. Barron, you criticized Marty for not reprimanding the PE teacher who disagreed with Ms. Jasmine, and Ms. Barron, you were not there. So Marty had no reason to speak with the PE teachers about this discussion because it was a civil discussion about stress, and it came from the point of view of expert educational leaders in our community. This is just another example that has been nitpicking and micromanaging and folding that pettiness into Dr. O'Shea's evaluation. I really fear that this continued aggravation and relentless micromanaging is causing a hostile work environment for Dr. O'Shea, for the administrative staff and students, which will cause our stellar school system to crumble. It is clear from the minutes I've read and the meetings I've watched that some members of this committee have created a hostile workplace. And I am amazed at Dr. O'Shea's professionalism and his ability to keep his eyes on the child, our staff, our community, during which inevitably is his most needlessly challenging time of his life. Thank you.
Michael Baresi? Michael Baresi, thank you.
Thanks for the time. My name is Michael Baresi. I have 4 kids that span across all the schools, Center, Williams, and Longmeadow. I'm here today to voice my support for Marty O'Shea and share my perspective as a resident and scientist professor at Smith College. As everyone serving on this committee, I care deeply about the education in this town. With 4 kids, it's of course personal. But as a full professor who thinks deeply about how best to teach and how students learn, I am directly engaged with the teachers and administration of the town at all levels. I even offer a science outreach-based program, and in fact was at Long Meadow High School just yesterday conducting a professional development for those teachers. Who shows up during this PD but Dr. O'Shea? I didn't invite him, but he showed up. He's always present and a hands-on superintendent. He interacts with teachers and even residents like me. More importantly, it is clear to me that our schools have a lot of improvements to make from a curricular standpoint. In particular, offering more problem-based active learning experiences, especially across all levels. To my great admiration, that is exactly what Dr. O'Shea interjected during my professional development, again, without ever talking about anything prior to this. He is pushing for the best pedagogical practices of promise, but to do this, it requires cooperation and superior coordination between all leaders and teachers. Clearly, the teachers and staff believe in him. I mean, this is an amazing testament to the superintendent. Teachers would not show up in this way if they truly were not with him and in support. I work with 6 other school districts in Massachusetts, some more than here, and at no time have any of those superintendents ever offered their support. From my perspective, it seems a vote to not renew his contract would kill the great relationships he has developed across schools. It would kill teacher morale and truly negatively affect the momentum of progressive education in our district. I ask that you to consider the bigger picture here, as opposed to smaller disagreements. I ask the school committee to not put all the responsibility for respectful communication on Marty, but the committee and the residents of this town, both the committee and the residents of this town, to truly look in the mirror and make sure we are doing our very best to conduct ourselves with similar respect, respectful communication with all school leaders and teachers, because the public is watching in and out of this town, and the last 2 years of the chaos that has befallen these processes, in my opinion, truly negatively impacting any future hires for any position in this town. I'll just end by saying there is time to fix this. Please turn this situation into a positive one where we can all work together and move this town forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Shea.
Hi, Kevin Shea. It's great to follow my Smith colleague, Michael Baresi. So as background, I have 2 kids in the schools. I have my son who's down the hall practicing for Beauty and the Beast. Hope you'll be there tomorrow night, Friday. My daughter is a sophomore. I'm also the president of the Long Meadow Softball Association. I'm engaged in the town. As I mentioned, I'm a professor at Smith College. At Smith, I've been the chair of the chemistry department. I'm currently the science center director. I know what it means to hire people, to supervise educators, to think about student learning, to think about the people who are in the classroom. When we hire people at Smith, we don't always agree on who we're going to hire. It's not always a consensus, but when we hire them, we support those people fully. We all get behind who we hire, and then how do we evaluate them? We look at their performance in the classroom. We look at how they interact with their students. We look at how they interact with their colleagues. We really value that. That's the important thing. It's eyes on the child. It's eyes on the faculty. What do we see here today? We see the students here. Why are they here? Because they support Marty. If we took a vote at LHS to renew Marty's contract, it would pass by flying colors. If we asked the staff and the administration if they wanted to renew Marty's contract, what would they say? They're telling you right now. If this was the town meeting, how would that vote turn out? he would pass without question. If it was a town election, how would that go? It would be overwhelmingly, we want to renew Marty. We want him to continue. And I'll remind you, let's think about where we were 3 years ago. 2015, where were we? It was the lowest morale I've ever seen in this town. Administrators were fleeing the town. Teachers were frustrated. They had no vision from their leaders. They were at rock bottom in terms of morale. Where are they now? Marty's been here 2.5 years. Morale is high. They want Marty to continue to be their leader, to inspire them. Our students are here. Why are they here? They want Marty's leadership. Remember that when you think about what your vote is to renew Marty. Everybody in this town has come out tonight in support of Marty. Think about that when it comes time to vote. We want to continue this. And I've heard people say, if a negative vote happens, it's going to negatively impact Marty's future. I disagree. I think other towns are going to see the support he has from the students, from the faculty, from the parents. They are going to think, we're crazy for letting somebody that good go, and they will be happy to hire Marty for another position because they know how good he is. We will never hire a person as good as Marty in this if we don't renew him. It will take a lot of time to repair this and get a candidate of his caliber to come here. Please vote to renew Marty's contract.
Thank you. I have Jen Falcone. I'm sorry, Jen, is it Falcone or Falcone? Falcone.
That's my married name.
Okay. Just want to make sure I get it right.
Good evening. I came here tonight to present my sincere belief that our district is in trouble. Over the last year, important relationships between the administration and the school committee have completely broken down. There have been multiple protests, much name-calling, finger-pointing, lying, cover-ups, and negative media coverage. A major part of a superintendent's job is to be the bridge between administration and school committee members. Dr. O'Shea's evaluation last May documented his seeming inability to perform this role, despite hiring a consultant, creating a special subcommittee, and countless hours spent by school committee members and Dr. O'Shea trying to make things better. Relationships have not improved, as we've heard tonight. Although I understand the administration and staff really want to keep working with Dr. O'Shea, the reality that I see is that a superintendent must be able to work up with his or her committee as well as down with his or her staff. The fact that there are still divisive protests going on is indicative to me that it is time our district focuses on moving forward. And I also want to say, as a parent, I'm kind of appalled that not everyone was clapping for everyone. You know, I think that we teach our kids that we listen respectfully and we applaud when people stand up here, voice shaking and speak, and that's not what I'm hearing tonight. That's another example to me of divisiveness. Division makes everyone look bad. Dr. O'Shea, the school committee, the administration, and the whole district. It takes time away from the important business of running a district. We've spent enough resources and energy on this problem. I support the school committee and commend their courage in making the right choice, even though it might not be a popular one. There is much work to be done to reunify the Long Meadow district. Let's get started. Go Meadow.
Thank you, Jen. Suzanne Baker.
As many of you are aware, my husband and I attended last Tuesday's evaluation subcommittee meeting. We wanted to try and understand why there is so much tension between the school committee members and Superintendent O'Shea. While I can't speak to the details of the issues of which the parties spoke, what I can share is that I witnessed a tremendous showing of passion. Passion on the parts of both Dr. O'Shea and the school committee members. It was so clear that all parties at the meeting care so deeply for our community and their respective roles in it. We are all so fortunate to live in a place where everyone is impassioned about the education and well-being of our students. I have known several of you for many years. I've worked with your children in the classroom or on the basketball court. Bronwyn, I coached David in basketball. Beth, I had Emma in math class. Karen, I coached Nate in basketball. Armin, I had Chloe in math class. And Melanie, I had Rachel in 6th and 9th grade. Had the distinction of going my only unbeaten season with Rachel, and I had Jacob in math class. All of your children are lovely. I can honestly say that each one of them has made my job easier and more enjoyable. They were respectful, mature, hardworking. That doesn't happen overnight. It took years of your time and your patience to grow, develop, and help shape them into the people they are today. Didn't happen in 6 months or 8 months, it took years. Beth, in last week's meeting, you said, quote, "We're not looking for perfection, we're looking for progress," unquote. Sometimes progress is in the form of 1 step forward and 2 steps back. It's only been 6 months. I think all of us can agree that in any given 6-month period of important relationships, our marriages, raising our children, our jobs, there wasn't always remarkable progress. The school committee has a tremendous opportunity tonight to teach the children in our district that relationships aren't always perfect, but you don't just throw them away. You work, and you work, and you work even harder. In this very disposable society we've become, we can show our children that throwing away a relationship in pursuit of something perceivably better isn't always the best way. You owe it to yourselves, to Dr. O'Shea, to the town, but most of all to our students to give this relationship more time. It will be very sad for me to wake up tomorrow morning and realize that my school committee gave up. Please don't throw away the relationship that clearly all of you invested so much of your time, your energy, and your passion into making work. As an educator, a taxpayer, but most importantly, a parent, please don't give up. Thank you.
Lynn Pantusco. Lynn?
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Lynn Pantusco-Hench. My husband Jamie and I live here in town. We are the parents of 4 children, 2 of which are at Center School, 1 is at Williams Middle School. Generally speaking, I would have drafted or read my letter that I've already shared with the school committee, but I knew I was at the end of the evening, and I wanted to listen and absorb and respond, and so that's what I hope I will do here. Also, when I left my house this evening, like many of you, I let my kids know where I was going, and I said, I'm going to go, and I'm going to speak up for what I believe in and who I support. And that's not always easy, and with all due respect to the school committee members, I, like the vast majority of people here, respect what you do. We respect everyone involved, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak. But again, I hope my kids will look at this moment and yours and say, hey, our parents did what we've been teaching our children to do. I also hope I have an opportunity to speak on behalf of the many parents who haven't gotten up here this evening. They are, in fact, the stakeholders here who I think share many of the perspectives I will present in the couple moments I have to speak. The first thing I'd like to share was a very concrete example of Dr. O'Shea's responsiveness. As a youth sport coach and volunteer in town, I was made aware of the pending AED legislation, automatic external defibrillators. I applied for a grant, and I reached out to Dr. O'Shea right away, and I said, I'd like to make you aware of this legislation. I'd like to speak about this. I'd like to collaborate with youth sports and Park and Rec and Longmeadow Soccer. He picked up a phone and called me the same day. It was an email. He didn't have to do that. He called me the same day. He promptly, with his staff, scheduled a meeting, invited me into it. I was really the person who brought it up. I was not a major player in this by any means, but the entire group with the leadership of Dr. O'Shea made me feel like I was completely on an even playing ground. His responsiveness to parents and his willingness to listen is honestly tremendous, and this was reflected in that we met. We had finance people, Park and Rec people, athletic director, principals, other leadership, and we brainstormed and devised a plan. And if you'll notice, as per one of his recent fall emails, there are AEDs available and accessible at every high school athletics event. So all of your children are protected by these. To reiterate, our fire chief, our police officer, safety has been paramount. And this is just one simple, concrete example that illustrates both responsiveness, action, follow through. We are ahead of the legislative curve. We are beyond compliant and early. And so I think that is to note, and I'm certain if I brought any other issue up, it would be handled nearly the same way. I certainly don't want to be one of those parents who gets here and rattles off all their continuing education degrees, but the next topic is relative to the Wellness Committee. I just wanted to offer up my expertise should anyone care to hear it. I have a doctorate in teaching and administration from Springfield College in their physical education department. I am very well versed with the Fitnessgram and Pacer and would be happy to field any questions about that. I talked to the physical education professionals at Westfield State University, where I'm employed. They have educated at the undergrad and graduate level the PE teachers in our school system, many of which, not all, but several. My professional organization that I'm a part of is the one that our PE teachers attend conferences at, and they were at recently. So in closing with that, I fully support the physical education teachers and their curriculum and be willing to answer questions should anyone want to. In closing, if I may, please look around if you would. We have happy children. We have happy teachers. We have happy principals. We have the vast majority of parents and citizens are happy. We are grateful. There's success here. And I just ask of you, we are the people who voted you all into office. I ask when you cast your votes that you please vote on behalf of the constituents you represent, not your personal positions, but what we are sharing here and asking you to represent our positions. So again, I thank you, appreciate your time, and fully support that.
Thank you. Michael Clark? Michael Clark? Oh.
Thank you. I was not expecting to come here tonight, and frankly, for the last 2 years since leaving the school committee, where I served for 6 years, I've let this committee do their job, and I'll continue to let you do so tonight. But as I was driving over here, I was thinking about a very important line written about 250 years ago or so. The power is derived from the consent of the governed. Pretty smart people wrote that, and it's in one of our founding documents. Look around you. The people you govern are here. They're speaking to you. The teachers are speaking. The public safety officials in the room are speaking. The parents are speaking. And more impressively, the students are speaking. For 6 years, we opened every meeting by talking about keeping our eyes on the child. Here they are. And they're asking you to keep in place a man that they respect deeply, that they believe has vision and is a true leader for this district. I was proud to cast my vote for Marty 2 years ago, and I'm proud to support him today. And I don't want to spend too much time. I know I only have 3 minutes, but I want to just share a brief story. Saturday night, I was at a social function, and unsolicited, a member of the Springfield School Committee came up to me and asked what was going on in Longmeadow. Because like many of you, they were down in Hyannis last week for the MASS conference, and they had heard what was going on here. There's news cameras in the hallway. People will know what's going on here, and I'm saying that because if the vote tonight goes in a different direction, if you're in a position where you're doing a superintendent search, the state knows what's going on. And for the future of our district, I think it's important for people in this room and on the committee to appreciate that it's going to be very hard to attract qualified candidates. It's going to be very hard to ask somebody to put their career on the line if they're going to get chewed up and spit out on the other side. And so I ask you to take that into consideration when you make your decision tonight. And frankly, I know where you are. I mean, I've been there countless times, and I know that the seat that you're sitting in is really challenging. And I know that having the public show up like this tonight is it's really challenging and very stressful situation. And I don't envy any of you, and I frankly respect the job that each of you do because I've done it. And so I just ask that, as we've done many times before, and as this committee has done many times before, to make a decision that is in the best interest of the district. And that's not just heeding the call that you're hearing tonight, but that's thinking about the future and thinking about how this community is going to be perceived when a surely talented and qualified individual potentially isn't going to be here next year, and what signal that sends to future applicants and the quality of the applicants that we may receive. because this isn't just about one man. This is about our community and our district and the students who go to school here. And they deserve a strong leader, and they deserve someone that has, nearly universal admiration. And I just ask that you take that into consideration as well when you make your decision. Like I said, I don't envy of you, and I do appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. And I thank you for your time, and I hope that you make the right decision. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Brian Ash? Brian?
Thank you very much. One, I want to thank the school committee for extending the time and let everybody here have the opportunity to voice their opinions. I also wanted to thank all of our town leaders, our police fire chief, our school administrators, teachers, and our parents for coming out, but most of all, for our student body for taking the time to show up here tonight to voice their opinion. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is really all about. My wife and I have lived in town here for 25 years. Our son graduated in 2016, our daughter 2018, and personally, we've had a great experience with the school system over the years. I have no complaints. Now, professionally, I've been elected office for 18 years, 8 on the select board and the last 10 as a state rep, and I've had the opportunity to work with many superintendents here in Longmeadow and throughout the district, and I can tell you they all haven't been fantastic. The relationships haven't always been great, and the job they've done always hasn't been great. I can tell you personally, I've got a great working relationship with Marty O'Shea here in Longmeadow, but also when he was in Hamden-Wilbraham District. We had a professional, very open and honest relationship. But at the end of the day, I was thinking about this, and I don't want to regurgitate everything that's been said by everybody in here. I think pretty much everybody has made their point of why they like Marty, but as elected officials, we have a responsibility. I know when I make votes, or when I take votes, I'll do my homework. I'll look at both sides of an issue, and I'll make my decision based on what I believe is in the best interest of the people that I serve, the people that put me in office. But every now and then, an issue will come up that is more personal. An issue will come up that I really need to listen to the people that I serve. This is one of those issues. This is a personal issue, and I think the people here have spoken loudly. We serve them as elected officials. This isn't about me. This isn't about you. I mean, it's about Marty, but really, it's about these young men and women who are here. Some of our seniors, juniors, sophomores, or the people that will follow them. It's about their future, and the decision we make here today will have a lasting impact. So I'd ask that you listen loud and clear that the people, their parents who put you in office, they're telling you something. They're telling you loud and clear what they want to happen. And I hope you're listening to that with clear vision. So I thank you very much, Marty. I thank you for the great job you've done so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane, I don't have any more sign-up sheets. That concludes visitor comments for this evening. I do want to say that I do thank and appreciate everyone who came forward and had an opportunity to share their thoughts with us tonight. We will move on through the agenda. School committee announcements and recognitions. Does anyone on the committee have anything they'd like to offer? Okay. Administrative reports, we have none, so we can move into our subcommittee reports. Ryan, would you like to give a report?
Sure. I'm going to report on the evaluation subcommittee meeting that happened on November 6th. Oh, wait a sec. I'm a teacher, or I was a teacher. I can do that. Wait for quiet. Because we have a bigger crowd than usual, the eval subcommittee is myself, Beth, and Karen. We had an eval subcommittee meeting on November 6th that was asked for in response to a meeting between Marty, Beth, Karen, and another committee member. In the meeting, we discussed whether or not the manner in which an email was handled was appropriate, and we briefly discussed a wellness committee meeting, which you've heard about this evening. And we did not come to an agreement on those topics. That's my report.
Thank you for that report. Ongoing business, we have none, so we can move on to new business. The new business this evening is indeed the superintendent's contract. Discussion of the superintendent's contract term, which currently expires on June 30th, 2019. Given that the contract does expire, we do need to have this meeting to determine the outcome of that. It is a reasonable and timely thing to do right now. So that being said, we'll have consideration, any motion, and discussion.
I'd like to make a motion to renew Superintendent O'Shea's contract for 3 years.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even know. I can't even see down there. Did Armand leave the room?
He left just a couple seconds.
Oh, okay. Yes, we definitely are going to wait. I didn't even see him leave.
There's Aaron.
Like a ninja.
I'm just not used to this setup. I can't see who's down at the end. We're not used to this. I'm sorry. Bronwyn, do you want to say your motion again since Armand wasn't in the room when you, I don't believe
I'd be happy to. I'd like to make a motion for Superintendent O'Shea's contract to be renewed for 3 years.
Second.
Seeing that we have a motion and it's been seconded, I will go ahead and open it up for discussion. Does anyone have any?
Sure.
Just by show of hands.
Sure.
Ryan? And then I think I'll just alternate on the table because it's hard for me to see everyone's hands. Go ahead.
So obviously this was going to be, as chair of the evaluation subcommittee, this is something that we've been talking about for a little while in our committee, and it's something I've had a lot of thoughts about. I think I could highlight my 3 children's positive experiences in the Long Meadow Public Schools. They've been to Wolf Swamp Center, Williams, and LHS. But I think about our role in the subcommittee, on the committee here, is to think about everybody's kids and not necessarily just the fact that mine have had a good time and are enjoying school. The way I look at it, and we've heard a lot of people here tonight, and I was thinking of, I'm going to bring out all this data and I have it all on my computer and can talk about all the numbers, but I want to highlight that I appreciate the admin teams and the teacher teams that they brought to speak to us. They talked to us about their social emotional programs. They talked to us about their successes academically. And this was, of course, under Marty's leadership. We appreciate that very much. I appreciate also not that they just said, hey, well, look how great everything is. They didn't just come and show us what was going well. They showed us what was in need of improvement. Nobody came to any of our meetings and said, we're awesome, thanks, and then walked out. It was a case of, this is what we see, this is what we hear from the kids, and this is what we think we need to improve, and this is how we want you guys to help. And I look at our role in the subcommittee as to hire and support a leader of administrators, teachers, and students, and I think we have a leader right now who is doing that. We need improvements, we know that, and importantly, the staff who came to speak to us know that. They told us in our meetings. They've presented us those successes, but they've highlighted the needs and asked us for help. I trust that Marty and this admin team is poised to make the improvements necessary. I want to point one thing out about school committees. The Massachusetts Association of School Committees, I went to the conference last week, they say that we will strive to represent common interests rather than factions. We will make decisions that are best for students in all cases. All means all. So I urge my colleagues to support this superintendent and the direction this school district is going. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Armand, do you want to go next?
I'm good for now.
Stephanie?
As a third-year school committee member in Long Meadow, I've watched Superintendent O'Shea work through 3 different school committee chairs, 2 different vice chairs, a unanimous 7-person vote of needs improvement on last year's annual evaluation, and 6 months of working with a mentor. Based on this experience and the best interest of all students in this district, I will not be voting to renew his contract.
Thank you, Stephanie. Bronwyn?
Thank you. I'm actually going to read a statement.
Sure.
I'd like to say good evening and thank you to everyone in attendance. Thank you to all who spoke. We really appreciate it. I wish there was time for more, but I'm sure everyone understands. I was extremely excited when I decided to run for school committee, and even more excited when I was elected on June 12, 2018. Dr. O'Shea reached out to me immediately offering both his congratulations and assistance as I got acclimated to the position. I was under the impression everyone had moved on from issues that occurred. A few people even commented to me, "It looks like the school committee and Dr. O'Shea are back on track," and it's very nice to see. As an educator for over 20 years, I've had the pleasure of working in 3 different districts. I worked for several superintendents, and although I never worked as an employee for Dr. O'Shea, I am certain he is among the top I have worked alongside. Every school district employee I have encountered has expressed similar positive feedback. Based on emails I have received and speakers I have listened to this evening, it is clear that Dr. O'Shea has an immense amount of support, and for good reason. As a parent and during my time as an educator, I have never seen a community come together like this for any public official. But I am not surprised at all. I feel the same way the overwhelming majority of the town feels. During my years as an educator, I recall that every time a superintendent was up for renewal, if it was an extremely easy decision, as this one should be, the voice of the community was heard and the action was in line with the will of its people. I will state I know firsthand, as many do, positive culture is the most difficult thing to grow and maintain in any business or educational setting. And it's not a surprise that the culture in the Longmeadow Public Schools is amazing. I've never been surrounded by a district with such positive culture. The most difficult part is already achieved and occurring in Longmeadow. This is echoed by the recent DESE school climate data, where Longmeadow ranked in the top 15% of all districts in the state. More specifically related to Dr. O'Shea and his efforts, I can think of several examples as to how he has continually committed himself to the well-being of the district and the school committee. For example, this summer, Dr. O'Shea invited all the members of the school committee to a specific portion of the administrators' retreat at Bay Path, where we had an opportunity to provide input and ask questions. 3 of us were able to attend that. It was extremely informative. Dr. O'Shea also supported a 3-hour session with the school committee and administrators to collaborate and increase cohesiveness. Dr. O'Shea also invited all members of the school committee to a session where education is headed, which was held at the senior center. 3 of us also attended that. Dr. O'Shea invited the high school, middle school, and elementary schools to a school committee meeting to provide us with a presentation on how social and emotional learning is integrated into each school. I felt a sense of pride and excitement from both the presenters and the school committee members. Perhaps there are some things we all need to work out, but these issues have little to do with the well-being of the district and its students. As such, Dr. O'Shea needs to be provided the contract renewal he so deserves. When I took the oath to serve on the school committee, I did so knowing I would do my best. Whatever is best for the students is what I will always stand for. In this case, Dr. O'Shea is best for the students. I am 100% sure of this, as it seems most of you are as well. I believe it would be irresponsible to not take into account the overwhelming support from the residents, taxpayers, teachers, students, and administrators as we move to renew Superintendent O'Shea's contract. Having said that, I do ask that at some point in the meeting, each and every member of the school committee discuss their exact reasons and rationale for choosing to or not to support the renewal of Dr. O'Shea's contract. Thank you for your time and support. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. I have seriously and thoroughly listened to the perspectives offered from the many key stakeholders in the community over the past year and this evening, whether from parents, students, teachers, administrators, concerned citizens, select board members, or current and former school board members. They are important voices that deserve the attention and consideration of the school committee. Our role as a school committee is not to manage the day-to-day workings of the Longmeadow Public Schools. Under the law, we are responsible for setting the direction of the schools. And one of the most important, critical ways we do that is through our responsibility in the hiring and ongoing evaluation of the superintendent. The Massachusetts Department of Education makes clear that the employee-employer relationship between the superintendent and school board is no different than the relationship between a CEO and a public company's board of directors. In both cases, the boards hire a person to effectively implement policies and provide leadership that drive performance. That is the lens that I am applying here today in considering the renewal of Dr. O'Shea's contract. Many of you are asking me to replace my truth with your truth. You are asking me to throw away the countless hours that I have worked with Dr. O'Shea, to throw away my judgment, to throw away my experiences so that my judgment will conform with your views and experiences. I cannot and should not be expected to do that. When it comes to family and community engagement, Dr. O'Shea is strong. He is always present in the community. He is at every event, and he is approachable and likable. He clearly cares about the community. I appreciate the time and dedication Dr. O'Shea has given to the district. But that is not the full extent of his responsibilities, and our job as a committee is to balance his strengths against his continued areas for improvement. And on balance, I do feel strongly that Dr. O'Shea is not the right fit for this district, and so I will be voting for non-renewal. My decision is based on many aspects of the job that I witness as a board member and vice chair. Most critically, Dr. O'Shea continues to fail to promote a shared vision between the board and administration, build consensus, or manage conflict. A culture of us versus them continues to be fostered whenever Dr. O'Shea sits back and allows board members to be disrespected by his employees and does nothing about it.
I'm going to ask that the public refrain from commenting when we are speaking as a committee, please. Thank you.
Questions from the school board continue to be viewed as an affront, offense, or an overreach, as opposed to necessary for the board in fulfilling its oversight responsibilities and helpful to driving the overall performance of the district. I went to a workshop last week where the presenter, who has been both a superintendent and a board member, stated that when it comes to the relationship between the board and the superintendent, culture and relationship is not part of the game. It is the game. Dr. O'Shea's inactions in this area continue to impact the relational trust, teamwork, and effective governance partnership necessary between superintendent and school committee. I also cannot ignore the quality of Dr. O'Shea's work product and the timeliness of materials. We have repeatedly reminded Dr. O'Shea of the need to work to be complete and produced with enough time for the board to be able to review the information and provide feedback. Dr. O'Shea continues to come up short in this regard. Any board, in fact, any boss, should expect materials provided to them to be complete and on time. We expect our students to do the same in the assignments they submit to our teachers. Finally, I cannot ignore the lack of commitment to continuous learning, the lack of professional development, research, or networking in other parts of the state by Dr. O'Shea. We live in a town with high expectations and high achievement, but we expect more than just maintaining our current test scores. We expect continuous improvement. We expect a leader who is not simply content with the status quo, but is thinking about and working on new challenges our kids are facing today and tomorrow. On initiatives that we have brought forward to discuss, we have heard, I don't think you want to do that because one group won't like it, or you don't want to spend your political capital on that. In our district, we should have a leader who is willing to make decisions based on principle, not politics. Our district deserves a leader that will foster a partnership with the school board and create a culture of inclusion and respect, allowing and encouraging space for multiple perspectives. We deserve a leader that has a strong vision for the future of the district and will take a stand on difficult issues in order to make that vision happen. We deserve a leader that will ask the tough questions, follow through on ideas, and is not afraid to innovate. Our district deserves a leader that understands and values the importance of their own professional growth and development. We deserve a leader that is passionate and excited about new initiatives. We deserve a leader that is interested in having professional discussions with others in the field that will network and gain knowledge through outside discussions. On this basis, I will vote for non-renewal.
Thank you, Karen. Melanie?
I too attended the Massachusetts Association of School Committee annual conference last year of 3 days, probably hundreds of workshops. One thing I took away from that regarding the humanistic qualities of leadership entail knowing that school districts are about relationships, building solid relationships where trust is the foundation, drawing the team closer in hard times, accepting failure and learning from it, assuming good intentions, encouraging learning for everyone, no matter the position. Relationships between the school committee and the superintendent, the relationship is the key and will either help or hinder meeting the needs of the kids. And the sky is the limit when everyone is rowing in the same direction. I pulled out the job description that was used in soliciting a superintendent for Long Meadow Schools. Under performance responsibilities are the following included: establish and maintain constructive relationships with school committee, guide and aid the school committee in its effective operation through development of his or her and the school committee's skills in working together effectively. Establish and maintain constructive relationships throughout the district, including school committee. And working with the school committee to ensure effective committee operations. Those are the responsibilities asked of this position. When I look up what constructive means, as I found this was in many, helping to improve, promoting development and advancement, and tending to build up. Then I looked up effective, successful in producing a desired result. Following our evaluation in 2018, where 7 members voted unanimously that Marty needed improvement, he recognized and apologized for errors. His goals moving forward included commitment to re-examine the culture in all settings, reinventing the culture and improving operations, improving collaboration, relationship, and communication with the school committee, working collegiately and respectfully, fostering a climate of team governance for effective partnership. This is what Marty said as his goals. When I define or look at teamwork, I see it as cooperative and coordinated effort to act in the interest of a common cause, necessary for colleagues to work together, trying their best in any circumstance, subordinating personal prominence to the efficiency of the whole. Every member has a voice and brings a different skill set that needs to be utilized. Shared governance, aligning all stakeholders in common direction towards sustainable outcomes. Last year, we received tens of dozens of letters from community members, staff, students. I read them all. Same this time around, we got dozens. The words are engaging, informed, professional, compassionate, warm, exemplary, present in schools, events, sports, responsive, supportive, mentor, dedicated. I don't dispute that any of these testimonials of the relationship between Marty and the staff and the community, and I have read them all. Which brings me to why we're here today, and we're here to vote on whether or not to renew Dr. O'Shea's contract with the town of Long Meadow. In answering these questions, I considered the following. Number 1, last year the school committee worked in concert and due diligence in 5 or 6 executive private sessions, private by the choice of Marty to maintain his privacy, to share our concerns and to define expectations between each other. Number 2, in June of 2018, Dr. O'Shea received 7 unanimous needs improvement evaluations, and that rating requires that, or I would say that rating demands, based on what I've read about evaluating superintendents, is that improvement is necessary and expected. From that, number 3, from that evaluation, the school committee and superintendent, again in concert and with due diligence to the situation, agreed that Marty would work with a mentor to develop an action plan for improvement based upon feedback received from his evaluation. That mentor has extensive experience in education leadership and co-developed a 3-year induction program for new superintendents. She is an educational executive coach. Number 4, from that, Marty set goals and developed objectives to meet those goals regarding shared governance, teamwork, collaboration, and communication in relation to the school committee. Of significance to me is foreseeing situations that might impact his ability to meet those goals. Number 5, Marty respectfully requested that the school committee advise him by November, which is now, on its intentions whether or not to renew his contract. That's why we're here today in November. That's why the decision is having to be made today based on where we are now. Which again brings us to why we are here. We're not here to discuss curriculum or micromanaging or SEL or those issues that we discuss in meetings, subcommittees. Number 6, in evaluating Marty's goal on his individual improvement plan, which he wrote, his professional practice goal was to improve district governance. And more specifically in that goal of school governance, the goal was to build relational trust, teamwork, and effective governance partnership with the school committee, individually and collectively. An objective under that goal, to facilitate the development of team building between school committee and the administrative team. Another objective was to demonstrate exemplary communication skills to inform school committee faculty and staff regarding challenges and areas of needed growth. The intended short-term outcome was to increase trust amongst and between the superintendent and school committee and between the school committee and district leadership. How to measure this? Increased trust will be measured by the sub-evaluation committee. An exemplary communication will be assessed through school committee feedback. I attended several of the sub-eval committee meetings, including the most recent a few weeks ago. Based on the feedback I heard in the meeting and the fact that Dr. O'Shea requested to be made aware by November whether or not his contract would be renewed as of today, I do not support renewal. I'm here today not as a volunteer mom. I volunteered 20 years here as a volunteer mom, in the classrooms, leading the pack in PTO, as a coach, in the churches. That's where I was a volunteer mom. But today we evaluate through that lens, but also based on our education as teachers, special ed teachers, principals, nurses who do more than put IVs in 1-pound babies. We also have to lead. We have to show leadership. We have to run a unit. And also as in our legal fields, as analytical and critical thinkers. We're here as lawyers, business, psychology degrees, social work certifications, and principalships. That is what we are basing our decision on. For just some clarification on some things that were said on the 2 issues regarding the wellness meeting and the sharing of the email. The reason why there was was the first time that a school committee member was at that wellness meeting is because one was just assigned in the spring, and that was the first meeting for the year. I myself attended that meeting. The reason why I attended was because I sat in a several hours long conversation with parents on the stress and anxiety in the district. So when I showed up to the wellness meeting, I assumed that it would be to discuss the issues that had been laid forth in the stress and anxiety meeting the day before. That's why I went. I was not expected. I was not the assigned school committee member, but that's why I attended as a parent and as having attended the meeting the day before. I heard the discussion that came up on the PACER test, which unfortunately and sadly has to be the issue as to why we're here. It was a good 20-minute discussion. It had been a good discussion the day before at the anxiety meeting. The parents had brought up how stressful that test was. I don't remember the test ever being stressful for my kids, but it's stressful now for parents. It had been brought up in that meeting. It was brought up again in this meeting. And again, there was a 20-minute discussion, a lot of questions asked. It was very respectful. Questions asked, question answered, good discussion back and forth. But it seems when questions were asked as a means to drive to an end and to problem solve, there was resistance met eventually. But as problem solvers do and as researchers do, you gather information to reach a conclusion. So there was 3 questions asked, systematically, politely, in an attempt to gain information. How is this information being used number 1, are you collecting data? Are you using the test to collect data? Again, this is what researchers do and think. After discussion back and forth, all the teachers participated in, questions were asked, moved on to the next question. Logical. Well, if you are collecting this data, how are you using the information? Again, I'm a science major. I was in lab, biology, anatomy, chemistry. This is what I had to do. How's the information being used? And number 3, Is that information being used to change or direct or influence student learning? Now, it took a little bit to get to that point because it was a discussion, but I knew where the school committee member was going from the moment she opened her mouth, because that's how we think. School committee member was abruptly shut down and admonished that despite the 20-minute discussion, at least 20-minute discussion, that everyone was participating in and sharing of ideas. We weren't here to discuss that. The question for me as a school committee member was to ask, what did Marty do in that situation? I didn't expect him to scold someone, to correct a behavior. I guess as a leader, I might have expected someone to steer the situation or to guide it, or to have simply said, you know what, in the essence of time, we've been here 20 minutes discussing this. It's good information, good discussion. How about we meet to meet as a team with some of these questions, PE teachers? How about we meet and further discuss whether or not we need to keep the PACER test? That's how I might have handled the situation. And lastly, on the Wellness Committee clarification, keep in mind that bridging the relationship was the goal to success. Is bridging the relationship communicating that your interpretation of the email was offensive? Could that have been handled differently to bridge the relationship than simply forwarding the email? Could it have been restated? Could it have been reworded? Could it have been presented that here are concerns, let's sit down and work on these or answer the questions? I also heard other things in the sub-eval meeting, not just those two. I also heard my chair say that she was grossly misrepresented, her words and her actions. Please just give me one moment. I think that concludes it for now.
Armand, did you have anything that you would like to say?
I do, yes. Marty, if you...
Marty, let's let the committee talk first, though, and then I will give you some time to speak if you have something to say. I do have some remarks to make, too, but it really is, the contract decision is the committee's decision, so let's let the committee be heard first.
I'd happily cede my time to Marty if he wants to.
No, go ahead,
okay.
Armand.
I've heard from my colleagues, and I know this is not an easy board to serve on. It's my second time around. Thankfully, the select board saw fit to see me on the board this time to represent the constituency that stands before us. I'm amazed at the administration, the staff, the LEA, the students. You are all to be commended. Breggy, you especially, and how you've led, and how you've all stuck around here. Constituency means a lot. In fact, one person on this board who's voted for non-renewal said at the first time, we need to listen to our constituency, which doesn't seem to be the case this time. I mean, the community has spoken. We have, according to somebody I heard, that we have 250 seats in the BTC, plus another 100 people here. That's 350 people, and probably the majority here for the specific purpose of supporting Marty O'Shea. And I've never seen this in my time, my first time, my 3 years and 3 months, and now my 2 months here, that those constituencies all came together for a common cause, and for us not to listen to them is just beyond me. I agree with my colleagues that this is an employee-employer relationship. That it's definitely an employer-employee relationship. But through experience in life of my own managing of people, there's two things that have been really hard for me, and I've had to overcome them at some points in my career. One of them, communication is a two-way street. A bridge has two ends. We have to meet in the middle. And from what I've seen in the last 2 months, that hasn't happened. It is a one-way looking to see how Marty is not going to do something as opposed to how Marty is going to do something.
It is not appropriate for the public to comment right now.
Secondly,
I'm asking all members of the public to really be silent at this time and let the committee speak, please.
Secondly,
Speak it, AJ.
Secondly, when you're dealing with an employee who has a needs improvement plan, which I do not believe would be the same rating today if we were to take that rating at this point in time, but we are where we are. You give that employee every opportunity to succeed. You support, you manage up. You don't manage down trying to manage out. You give them every opportunity to learn and succeed. And I'm saying in the short time from May to now, does not seem like enough time, at least me, in my professional opinion, of managing people on a daily basis, to give them to create those characteristics and those objectives you're trying to work with them on. I was at the evaluation subcommittee too the other day, and I want to thank the teachers for showing up tonight and giving the other side of the story, because we didn't get that at the evaluation subcommittee the other night. I heard that the school committee member felt in a difficult position with the teachers. We didn't hear the opposite side, which was presented tonight, that the teachers felt equally like there was a miscommunication or a going down the wrong way. And it better to put it to a parking lot than to get into a tete-a-tete with one another. And the other thing we had heard was just about the back and forth. And I appreciate Donna Hutton and Neil for supporting an admin and giving us their perspective of what that, because that wasn't talked about at the evaluation subcommittee last week as well. In our decision tonight to non-renew, we have nothing to gain and everything to lose. If we renew and we come up with the ability to work with Marty to continue the path of building that bridge, I think we just have the best days in front of us. Me personally, I appreciate everybody's input tonight. Thank you for your support. And I'm just hoping this isn't a bridge too far.
Thank you, AJ. Marty, did you have something? Okay. You really are disrupting the meeting of the committee, so that is really a second warning. I have to ask you to be silent and let the committee do the work. If not, I do have to direct people to leave the meeting, and I don't want to have to do that.
Can I pause you for a minute? Is someone
Yes.
recording back there who hasn't announced? I can't tell with the phone.
Are you recording on your device, sir?
What's that?
Are you recording on your device?
Live stream, yes. Facebook.
You need to disclose to the committee that you are recording.
I was not aware of that. I'm recording on Facebook Live. There are community members that aren't here that don't have access to public television, including my wife, and they would like to hear it. They're in strong support of Marty. And
Okay, I was just asking if you were, because we do were you here at the beginning of the meeting? I do.
Here at the beginning.
Okay.
I was out in the hallway with all the other family members, all the other parents that are supporting.
Okay.
me.
I just asked, it's a legal requirement that we disclose that you're recording.
All right.
Okay? Just want to make sure we're covered.
Thank you.
I have a statement that I'm interested in reading, but I want to hit a couple of things before I get into that. There was a comment earlier about being content with the status quo, which is really interesting to me, given, I think, what we heard tonight, and given some of the things I'm going to mention that are currently in place that were not in place when I arrived in this district on July 1st in 2016. And I'm giving you a partial list shortly of things that are now in place that were not in place. The notion that I'm content with the status quo is unfair. If you're looking for failure, you're going to find failure. So that's one thing. The second notion that lack of professional development and networking. I've got 25 years experience as an educator. I've got a doctorate. In the last 6 months alone, and if I can go through my calendar and find some other things, 2 days at Challenge Success this summer, 3 days at the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents Conference in Falmouth, where experts from around the globe are brought in on issues relating to curriculum, instruction, assessment, safety, professional development, you name it. 2 days this past week at the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, which many of the committee members here lauded as an outstanding opportunity. I was there as well. Last night, I spent 2 hours listening to Rip Wormelli with 45 parents. That's professional development. I'm always engaged in professional development when I go to hear speakers and when I engage with professionals who also I learn from. I think it's very important that we learn from the educators and the experts that are the practitioners. That's part of my professional development as well. Just this past Friday, I attended a meeting of the district management group in Boston with the entire administrative team, and guess what we focused on? Many of the very issues that are of concern to this committee and are also of concern to us as an administrative team. It's interesting to me to hear that there is a disconnect between the vision of the committee and the vision of the administrative team, or my vision, because in fact, if you really look at our strategic planning documents, I think you see a very significant alignment between school committee goals, district goals, and school goals. And that work is happening, and we're making progress, and there's some significant momentum. There's a question about, there was an assertion tonight that questions are overreach. I'm going to mention some opportunities that I provided for the committee to engage with the administrative team and with our educators so that questions can be asked. Questions are not overreach. Anybody that knows me gets tired of my questions. In fact, that's something I think that was something that we heard loud and clear last year. He asked too many questions. Questions are not overreach. I think that's how we stretch people in their thinking. That's how we stretch them in their work. We get them to reflect. Here's the thing, and I've had this conversation with the chair and the co-chair. How we ask questions matters a great deal. How we ask questions. Are we honoring the work when we ask those questions? Are we showing humility when we ask those questions? Are we looking for the best answers when we ask those questions, or do we already have the answers? Questions matter a great deal. It's an important part of who I am as an educator and as a person. So I'm pleased to have the opportunity tonight to discuss the potential renewal of my contract, which is set to expire in June 2019. In preparation for tonight's meeting, I reflected deeply on my work, my leadership, and my commitment to Longmeadow Public Schools since I arrived in 2016. Today, I stand confident that my leadership has made an important, positive difference in the lives of students and the work of our educators. Today, I stand confident that a contract renewal is in the best interest of LPS students and the wider community, and I am seeking a contract renewal. For the committee's consideration, to this point about being content with the status quo, I hope this addresses the idea that I'm somehow, perhaps it's because there's not, perhaps the committee doesn't see grumbling, or perhaps the committee is looking for people to be complaining about some of the initiatives that we're putting in place. Well, these are some of the things that are in place now that were not in place when I arrived in this district 2.5 years ago. District safety team exists where one did not before. That team's fostered a strong working relationship between LPS administrators and public safety officials. More importantly, our commitment to student safety and our capacity for emergency preparedness and response has grown significantly in the last 2.5 years. Today, a written, articulated, and school committee approved district improvement plan exists where one did not before. And to the point of being content with the status quo, that district improvement plan includes 21 objectives and 62 indicators, many of which we are making significant progress on as we speak. That district improvement plan is reflective of school committee goals. It has been my intention and my purpose, genuinely, earnestly, to work with this committee and make sure that it is reflective of the direction that the committee has been interested in. The document articulates our steadfast commitment to 3 important goals: social emotional learning, differentiation, and curriculum alignment. I hold myself our administrative team, and all LPS educators strictly accountable to the goals that are articulated in this strategic document. We are making progress. There is significant forward momentum. Today, a district wellness team exists where one did not before. Today, an explicit commitment to a K-12 social emotional learning framework exists where one did not before. Today, a standards-based report card exists where one did not before. The process involved in creating that document was as important as the final outcome. The process was collaborative, it was thoughtful, it was research-driven, and it honored the work of our practitioners. The outcome of that standards-based report card initiative provides us with a way to focus students on their growth in proficiency rather than grades alone. The notion that we are, as administrators, as educators, we are deeply concerned about student stress and anxiety. It has been, when I arrived in the district, the first thing we did, we surveyed the community. What came out loud and clear was the concern about the overall well-being of students. It has been an important part and will continue to be an important part of our work. In the last 2 years, we have collaboratively and cooperatively developed a fiscally sound budget driven by our strategic goals and fully supported by the school committee and the select board. That doesn't happen everywhere. There has not been budget drama, and that's because of the fine work of Mr. Mazza and the high level of cooperation and collaboration between the school committee and the select board and myself and town officials. Today, a fully revised statement of interest articulating the need to address the physical needs of our middle schools is in place. That is a project that I led the revision and submission of and is currently being reviewed by the Massachusetts School Building Authority. When I arrived in the district, I had many people saying to me, to Karen's point about being content with the status quo, I had many people saying to me, don't do it. The town's not ready for it. The select board's not ready for it. We're not going to get that submission through. I led it, I drove it, I worked with the select board, I engaged parents and worked with the school committee, and it's in place. That's a statement of interest to the Massachusetts School Building Authority to address the needs of our middle schools. I was not content with the status quo. The easy thing would have been to not take on that initiative in my first year. Today, parents regularly receive a newsletter and many other forms of communication from me that did not previously exist. Today, there is a district parent curriculum advisory council where one previously did not exist. That was something that when I came on board in this district, it was very important for me to engage parents in curriculum discussions. And frankly, that is being put in place against the wishes, against the expectations of some people that I work closely with. But it's important to me to do that, to engage parents in that process so that we understand the student experience and the parent experience. Today, there is a community conversation series that I created that gives us an opportunity to engage community members in collaborative conversations that did not previously exist. I've created opportunities and platforms for us to gather feedback from community members because I am not content with the status quo, because I am interested in the growth and improvement of this district. There are many, many opportunities for us to grow as a district, as a learning community. I'm anxious and eager to continue my work leading those initiatives. Today, after 2.5 years, there is an aligned, systemic K-12 commitment to drug prevention education. That did not exist before. When I arrived in this district, Shelley Warren, our substance abuse coordinator, K-12, frankly, was barely known to many of our K-8 educators. That is no longer the case. Today, the town of Long Meadow receives $125,000 annually as part of a drug-free communities federal grant. That did not exist before. Did I write the grant? No. I tapped into the expertise of people who were eager to submit this grant, and we are fortunate as a town, as a community, to receive the benefits of that drug-free community grant. We were involved in some very, very cutting-edge prevention and intervention work. Today, a fiscally responsible contract between the district and our licensed teaching staff exists. Today, we have a unified, forward-thinking administrative team that is committed to common goals, particularly in relation to the overall wellness of children. There is significant consensus and forward momentum. It has been suggested tonight that I'm unable to effectively work with committee members. I stand firmly behind my long and strong track record of building effective partnerships in the best interest of children. In my 10 years as a school superintendent and my 25 years as an educator, I have built effective relationships with student bodies, dozens of school committee members, parents, administrators, educators, and just as importantly, town officials. Each of these relationships has been built on a strong foundation of integrity, trust, communication, and mutual respect. I am confident that my approach to communication and collaboration is effective. To the issue of bridge building. Gone to extraordinary lengths, I believe, to engage and work with the school committee over the last 2.5 years, and have furthered these efforts in the last 6 months in response to concerns I heard last spring. And I would note that since the time of my interview in January of 2015, there have been 15 different members, school committee members, that I have worked with. It's a challenge, one that I'm up to. I'm confident I can build strong partnerships with professionals. I trust and respect the background and expertise of this committee, and I believe that our work has reflected the input of this committee in ways that perhaps we need to identify more. So I identify some of the ways that I've tried to do that bridge building. My regular communication with the committee includes a lengthy Friday email check-in when there's no meeting the following week, and a lengthy formal written report on weeks when there is a meeting. Regularly, I update the school committee on events that their constituents might ask them about. Gas leak in the vicinity of Glenbrook today is one example. Beginning last year, I began requiring monthly written reports from our assistant superintendents to the school committee. That had not been done before. In an effort to expand collaboration between the administrative team and the school committee, I invited and welcomed school committee members to our administrative retreat this past summer at Bay Path. It was a great opportunity to ask questions, which are very important to progress and growth. I provide the committee with written formal feedback form describing my takeaways from events when I meet with parents. Members of the school committee have been invited to serve as liaisons to principal screening committees, the staff wellness team, and other administrative working groups. Most recently, and I believe this has the potential to be a good vehicle for change and a good vehicle to allow us to work effectively together, I propose the creation of a curriculum subcommittee to give this committee an opportunity to monitor curriculum developments and directions in this district. I welcome the questions. Hard questions are important for our overall growth, and I seek opportunities to have those conversations respectfully. Earlier this year, the administrative team met with the school committee in a 3-hour evening team building workshop. I would also note that over the course of 3 school committee meetings this year, and in an effort, genuine, good faith effort to build the committee's faith and understanding of our work, I set up presentations on social emotional learning involving our 6 principals and probably close to 20 educators. Those presentations, I thought, went very well. They were an opportunity to ask questions, and I believe they went a long way to building the type of communication that we like to see. I worked with the committee on the establishment of the evaluation subcommittee to ensure that I had regular opportunities to hear specific formative feedback. All of these activities that I just mentioned, nearly all of them, have been undertaken in the past few months and represent my sincere, good faith, honest intentions to work effectively with this committee. I have been interested, and I continue to be interested in working effectively with the committee. I should note that until the evaluation subcommittee meeting of November 6th, the feedback from the evaluation subcommittee was largely positive or constructive at least. On that date, however, I was criticized by two members of the evaluation subcommittee for my handling of an email from a committee member regarding the Peace Builders program and for not interceding in a brief and rapid exchange between a school committee member and a staff member. I want to be very clear, because this is who I am as a person and as an educator. And I ask the committee to recognize that on those occasions, I acted in good faith and with no malintent. Mrs. Hutton described for you that there was a sense among some members of the committee that I simply hit send on an email, reading into my intentions. Mrs. Hutton described for you the conversation that we had, the back and forth that we've had. The back and forth that we've had since, because though the statement could have been crafted better, I'm still interested, as Mrs. Hutton explained earlier, I'm still really interested in understanding the alignment between Peace Builders and the SEL framework that we've identified for ourselves. Genuinely interested to see how that all works. This work is just getting started. Only last year did we identify an SEL framework for our work K-12, because it is important that we are aligned and seamless across the district in this work. I acted in good faith. I acted with no ill intent. I acted honestly on those two occasions. So I'll end where I began. I stand confident that my leadership has made an important, positive difference in the lives of students and the work of our educators. And today I stand and remain confident that a contract renewal is in the best interest of LPS students and the wider community, and I am seeking a contract renewal.
Thank you for your comments, Marty. I will go ahead and close with mine, and that will have afforded everyone the opportunity to have spoken on this. I'm going to start with the facts, because the facts here are important. I hear a lot of emotion in this room, and I think we need to bring this back to the facts. Dr. O'Shea received a poor evaluation this past spring, needs improvement. It's quite poor. It was actually on the low end of needs improvement, which necessitated you being placed on an improvement plan. The district spent money on a talented mentor who worked with you for 7 months and provided you with professional guidance and tangible frameworks and documents in order for you to be successful. Like the committee, I believe she also set you up for success. But ultimately, a mentor cannot force you to produce the work. In addition, the committee established an evaluation subcommittee, and I made every effort, privately and publicly, to give you feedback on ways you could improve and be more successful. Yet here we are. I gave you a clean slate this summer, once I was elected chair, and I worked tirelessly in this district to partner with you and staff to put us all on a better path forward. I worked my tail off doing that. Time away from my family, I was completely dedicated to that. I never expected perfection from you, but I did expect progress, and I have not seen sufficient progress in your job performance. I understand effective board governance, and I'm hoping this committee fully understands it too. You have not adapted to the high-functioning level of the school committee, and the following is taken right from the MASC website. Effective school boards have a collaborative relationship with staff and the community and establish a strong communication structure to inform and engage both internal and external stakeholders in setting and achieving district goals. Effective school boards lead as a united team with the superintendent, each from their respective roles with strong collaboration and mutual trust. Superintendents either choose to work with a board or not. And in your case, I have found you've chosen to work behind us, around us, or in some cases not with us at all. But this isn't just about your poor relationship with the school committee, your employer, but your complete disinterest to me in improving it. This is not about the wellness committee. This is not about an email gone awry. This is about how ineffective I see you in terms of your job and how it impacts our students. I find you ineffective at making decisions and defending them. I find you ineffective at collaboration, which is so necessary right now when I see what other districts are accomplishing. I find you to be lacking in both a leadership and a growth mindset. I can no longer spend all of this time focusing on your ineffectiveness. I would like to get back to the work of moving the district forward and focusing on its students. I have never once deviated from my mission to act in the best interest of all the students in Longmeadow Public Schools. I want better for them. They deserve it. The bottom line here is that you are accountable to the board, not the teachers or the community, for your job performance. Now, we do have a motion on the table. The motion, Bronwyn, would you like to?
Like to what?
Reread the motion just for clarity. I believe it was made before we cut out.
Absolutely. I would like to make the motion that Superintendent O'Shea's contract be renewed for 3 years.
Second.
We have a motion that's been first and seconded. We'll call for a vote on the motion. The motion is a renewal of the superintendent's contract for 3 years. All those in favor? Just for clarity, I will do a roll call vote.
Armin Ray, definitely aye.
Brown and Monahan, yes.
Oh, we're only doing positive? Sorry. We're doing everybody. Ryan Kelly, aye.
Okay. That motion has failed. Therefore, the committee will need to begin the process of hiring a new superintendent.
Point of order. How can we do a roll call vote where only the positives are recorded?
Well, the motion fails, but you can make another.
You need to know the vote. You have to publicly state your vote.
Okay, I'm sorry. Settle down. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, again, the motion is to renew the superintendent's contract for a 3-year term. I apologize. First and seconded. All those in favor?
We do a roll call, we do go through.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. This is like.
Let's evaluate the committee.
Okay, okay, you can, that's fine. I just need to, like this, we have to get this right legally, so thank you.
Armin Ray, aye.
Already took the vote.
Brown and Monahan, aye.
We're just doing the roll call.
Everybody.
I thought you wanted me to get the first roll call, okay. Armand.
Armin Ray, aye.
Okay.
Brown and Monahan, aye.
Bonnie Rothstein, nay.
Elizabeth Barron, nay.
Karen Moore, nay.
Stephanie Jasmine, nay.
Ryan Kelly, aye.
Wait till this
I move to extend Marty O'Shea's contract by 1 year.
Second.
We have a motion that has been first and seconded. I will call the question. All those in favor of extending Marty O'Shea's contract by 1 year?
Armin Ray, aye.
Brown and Monahan, aye.
Excuse me, this is the vote of the committee. We cannot.
Leadership, show it.
I've been here for 2 years. Listen to the people. I don't have faith, I'm sorry. Okay.
Elizabeth Barron, nay.
Karen Moore, nay.
Stephanie Jasmine, nay.
Ryan Kelly, aye.
Oh, my God. Thank you, Ryan.
Excuse me, the committee is still, this is not a public meeting. This is a meeting in public. The motion has failed, therefore the committee will need to begin the process of hiring a new superintendent for July 1st. I will request that MASC do a presentation for the committee on the process to recruit and select a new superintendent at one of our meetings in November or early December. There are no other items on the agenda this evening. I would ask for a motion to adjourn at this time.
I move to adjourn.
Please respect the chair, please.
Seconded.
Motion has been first and seconded. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting?
Armin Ray, aye.
Brown Amani and I.
Colleen Rothstein, aye.
Elizabeth Barron, aye.
Karen Moore and I.
Stephanie Jasmine, aye.
Brian Kelly, aye.
Can I, and
Thank you.
for my sake, can we just, I'm asking that if members of the community, members of staff continue to want to be engaged in this process, that people be engaged respectfully.
We're professionals, we'll carry on as such.
I would thank Dr. O'Shea for his service.
Did you say the motion is adjourned?
The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.